Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today we need to talk about a development that could rattle South African politics before the 2026 municipal elections. Former President Thabo Mbeki has stepped forward with a warning, and it's not about the usual suspects like load shedding or corruption. This time his concern is aimed directly at the fragile alliance between the African National Congress and the South African Communist Party. He says that if the SACP contest the local elections independently, we could see a clash that might tear apart one of the longest-standing political partnerships in the country. For decades the ANC, the SACP, and COSATU have formed what we call the Tripartite alliance. It was born out of the liberation struggle, forged in the heat of apartheid resistance. These three forces marched together, strategized together, and later governed together. For many years, that partnership was the foundation of ANC power. But in politics, marriages of convenience don't last forever without tension, and right now the cracks are beginning to show. Mbeki reminded the public that unity has always been the strength of the alliance. He said that a split now could weaken the shared project of economic transformation. He's worried that if the SACP chooses confrontation, then the votes will fragment, handing opportunities to opposition parties that are just waiting for the ANC to stumble. And honestly, you don't need to be a political analyst to see his point. The ANC is already struggling in metros and provinces where coalitions are the new normal. The last thing they need is a partner turning into a rival. Let's look at why the SACP might even consider running alone. Over the past decade, the Communist Party has been increasingly frustrated with the ANC's drift towards the political center. They accuse the governing party of neglecting the working class, bowing to big business, and tolerating corruption. SACP leaders often remind everyone that their movement never fought for a South Africa of tender fraud and elite enrichment. They say they fought for socialism, equality, and worker empowerment. The ANC, on the other hand, sees these constant criticisms as a bit rich. After all, many Communist Party members serve in government under the ANC's banner. When tough decisions have to be made, whether about the budget, about privatization, or about wage negotiations, those same SACP voices are often silent. So the tension has a personal edge too. Here's what makes 2026 different. For years, the SACP has threatened to go it alone, but then pulled back at the last moment. It was like a bluff in a poker game. But analysts believe the changing political landscape could push them to actually follow through this time. With the ANC dipping below 50% support nationally, the Communist Party might think, if not now, then when? And if they do it, even a small percentage of votes drifting away from the ANC could completely reshape local councils. Imagine a municipality where the ANC loses just a few wards to the SACP. Suddenly the DA, the EFF, or even Jacob Zuma's MK party could swoop in and negotiate coalitions, leaving the ANC sidelined in its own backyard. That's the nightmare scenario Mbeki is warning about. And remember, municipal elections are not just about local potholes and streetlights. They're a rehearsal for national elections. The way 2026 goes will set the tone for 2029, when the ANC faces perhaps its toughest national challenge since 1994. And what about COSATU, the unions? They've been restless for years. On some days they march shoulder to shoulder with the ANC, and on other days they're leading strikes against ANC policies. If the SACP breaks away, COSATU might follow, or at least split its loyalties. That would be like knocking the final leg off a three-legged stool. The alliance could simply collapse. Now, Mbeki's intervention is not random. He has always been a voice for caution, even when he was in power. He's watched the ANC split before. He saw the formation of COPE after his own fallout with the party in 2008. He's seen the birth of the EFF after Julius Malima's expulsion. And now he's warning that another fracture could be fatal. Once a party starts bleeding votes to offshoots, it rarely recovers. Let's be honest, the ANC has been in steady decline at the polls. Each election shows shrinking margins, more coalition governments, and more headaches for Luthuli House. Add a split with the SACP, and you have a recipe for paralysis. The ANC could end up spending more time fighting yesterday's comrades than addressing today's crises. And voters, who are already frustrated with unemployment, poor services, and corruption, might simply punish them at the ballot box. Here's a twist worth considering. The SACP might actually not expect to win big on its own. Instead, it could be using the threat of independence as leverage. By making credible noises about standing alone, they put pressure on the ANC to concede more in terms of policy direction, candidate selection, and positions in government. It's a game of political chicken. But sometimes, as we know in politics, games of chicken end in a crash. Picture this: the ANC and SACP comrades in the same community suddenly campaigning against each other. Red berets from the EFF laughing on the sidelines. The DA quietly smiling. And Jacob Zuma's MK party saying, "Thank you very much, comrades, we'll take those votes you're fighting over." South African politics already looks like a reality TV series, and this plot twist would take it straight into primetime drama. But the serious point here is about the future. If the SACP does go solo, it could be the final test of whether South Africa's leftist politics still have electoral power. Do ordinary voters want a more radical alternative to the ANC? Or have they grown tired of ideological battles and simply want better service delivery? That question will shape not only the 2026 elections, but also the national mood going into 2029. So, is Mbeki right to sound the alarm? Many would say yes. The alliance, for all its dysfunction, has provided stability since 1994. Splitting it apart now could accelerate the ANC's decline. On the other hand, others argue that competition is healthy. If the SACP believes the ANC has lost its way, maybe it's time for them to test their strength at the ballot box. What do you think? Should the SACP break away and stand independently, or should the alliance hold the line for the sake of unity? Drop your thoughts in the comments section. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends who follow South African politics. Thanks for watching, and as always, see you next time.